We're focusing in this video on OET listening part A. Now, for some individuals, this section is very challenging, and I want to help you better understand what these challenges are and how you can overcome them. Now, we're going to start a little bit unconventionally. We're actually going to try some exercises that are outside the box. So the first thing I want to do with you is to listen to the audio that we would expect to hear in listening part A. And instead of jumping right to questions, I want you to practice your note-taking skills with me. So as you can see on my screen, I just have a blank page. And I'm going to play this audio. I encourage you, grab a piece of paper or grab a blank document if you're working on your computer. And I want you to follow along with me. Now, why are we starting with this? So much of the OET listening, we are trying to pick out individual words that we're hearing, but we often lose the perspective that we're listening to a patient talking, we're listening out for keywords, and most of the time those keywords, if we're not distracted by the questions, we'll be able to hear them quite well. So let's check first of all, are you hearing them? The second thing is, I want to check with you, how fast are you at writing or typing as you listen? This is a big challenge for this section in terms of you have to keep up with the listening. You don't have time to write it all afterwards. So what we're going to do, you'll see on my screen, I will be typing the key words and focus on things like symptoms, conditions, descriptors, so adjectives and adverbs. We'll hear things like medications. We might hear, for example, occupations. We want to, by the end of this listening, have a full set of notes where if a friend was asking us, what was that about? We could look at our list of notes and go, I remember most of the key content words there. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. And I also want you to watch my eyes as I'm typing. I'm going to try my best to minimize the amount of times I look down. Why is that important? Well, if you're writing on the computer and you struggle with typing speed, this might be because you have to constantly be checking which keys am I using to type. So I want you to practice that skill, focusing on not the keyboard, but on the actual document. So you can tell me and we can see how well do I manage that as well. So let's get started, and you'll see as we listen, I'm going to write these things here.
Now, Mr. D'Souza, I've got your notes here, but I wonder if you could tell me in your own words when you first had problems with your eyes, how the condition developed, what treatment you've had, and anything else you think I should know.
Yes, of course. Well, I've got the usual age-related problems with my eyes. I started getting short-sighted about 5 years ago, soon after I retired. So I had to get glasses for that. But with this latest problem, I realized that my eyes had got much worse quite suddenly. What happened was I was walking home at dusk one evening. It was getting dark and there wasn't much light, and I suddenly realized that I was struggling to see where I was going. And that wasn't all. I noticed I could see much better out of my right eye than I could out of my left. It was all a bit worrying.
Yes, I see.
I mean, this was quite recently. But after that, my eyesight got worse fairly rapidly. I mean, I was doing some volunteer work for a charity, but I've had to give that up. Well, for the time being, at least.
I see. And you've been to see a local optician?
Yes, I didn't know what else to do. He did some tests and then said he thought he could see what he called drusen at the back of my left eye.
Right.
So he referred me here for further investigation. But he did suggest in the meantime that I should take a preparation that's high in lutein. He also said I should up my levels of green vegetables. Well, that's sensible anyway, so I've done that.
Good.
I was quite worried after that visit, as when I looked online at what he said, it seemed to suggest I'd got macular degeneration. So that was really frightening.
Well, your optician was right to refer you. And from what you've described, that is a possible diagnosis. But we need to do more tests to see if that is the case or not. So what's the situation now?
Well, I can't see very well using my left eye. Something's definitely wrong there. Like, I find it hard to estimate size. You know, things look smaller with my left eye than they do with my right.
Right.
But apart from that, the area right in the middle is blurred. It's all quite unnerving.
I can imagine. And how's your general vision?
Well, let's think. The optician said that I had no problems with my peripheral vision, and there's been no change in that as far as I can tell.
Right.
And I'm still coping day to day. I mean, I can still manage things like watching TV, which I'm grateful for. But I recently decided I should give up night driving. I just felt my vision wasn't good enough anymore. Actually, I read in a leaflet you sent me that you might want to carry out an angiogram. Is that one of the tests you're thinking of?
One of them, yes.
Could you tell me a bit more about that, please?
Well, it's quite a specialist test. What it would do is allow us to see the back of your eye. And the reason for doing this is to establish whether perhaps your problems are being caused by a blood vessel there, which may be leaking. And it could be that which is affecting your vision.
I see. Another thing I read about is laser surgery. Is that the treatment for that condition? Because I'd be really worried about having that.
Well, we need to do the test first. And anyway, even if that is the cause, this condition can settle by itself. If it doesn't, there are various treatments we can offer. Yes, laser surgery is a possibility, but we're not at that point yet.
I see.
So we'll do the test. But what I'd like to suggest in the meantime are a few things you can do to help your situation.
Okay, so hopefully you could see as we were listening, those words that stood out to me as those key content. And by content, I really mean what carries the meaning of the conversation. So we ignore the grammatical sentence structure, I would like, could you do, and we get to write those nouns and verbs and adjectives and adverbs. So here's what's interesting. If you take a look through here, right, most of the words are not that technical. So we did have a few, so for example, drusen and angiogram, but a lot of them are kind of in this middle category. They're just describing words, or they might be just common nouns, general nouns that we see. And so the reason I want you to do this is in the next video, I'm going to show you the questions. And what I want to do is compare, if you were just taking notes versus having the questions in front of you, what does that look like? How do they overlap? And then we'll get into some strategies. So if you're struggling with keeping up with the listening speed or trying to keep up with the typing or writing speed, this is an exercise I want you to do with different listenings, not just OET ones, but also other types of listenings, and see if you can improve your ability to track the keywords and keep up with those typing speeds. When I was typing, I was trying my best not to look down, and hopefully you noticed that, where I was focused. If I make a mistake, you go back, but getting really comfortable with your hand placement, using all 10 fingers on that keyboard so that you're able to do that. So how did you do? Let me know in the comments below. Did you follow as well? Were you able to take your notes? Did you add anything to your notes that was different from mine? What did I miss? Let me know that as well. Make sure to subscribe. Can click that notification bell, as well as our next video will be coming out shortly with some of those questions.